Hi everyone, I'm Mark from Travelshorts, and in today's episode I'm going to be spending a day in Belfast. And to get there I'm going to be flying from here, Liverpool John Lennon Airport. Today I'm going to be flying with Easyjet. I checked in online yesterday, so there's no need to go to the desks there. I'm just going to head through security and wait in the departure lounge. And I'm glad I did as well. That's the busiest I've seen those desks in a long time. And bear in mind it's about 5 AM at the moment here in Liverpool. So that's the flight I'm going to be taking today, the 7:15 to Belfast City. So that was the first time in a while I've actually seen a really long queue going through passport control, well, security here at John Lennon Airport. I'm going to grab myself a bottle of water from Boots and then find somewhere to sit down. I think it's going to be a while before I get a gate, so I've just found somewhere to sit down, probably for about an hour or so. This time in the morning I'm not really hungry, so I'm not going to get breakfast. I'll just wait till I get lunch in Belfast. So the plan for today is I'm going to be doing two things while I'm in Belfast. First thing, which is the main reason for going there, I'm going to be going to the Titanic Museum. We wanted to go there for a few years and I just haven't got around to it. But the fact that these Easyjet flights are just $12.99 each way kind of sold it to me, so that's why I'm just going to Belfast for the day. Early flight in the morning and a late flight coming back tonight. After I've explored the whole of the Titanic Quarter, I'm then going to go to the Game of Thrones studio tour, which is about a 30-minute bus drive outside of Belfast. So like I said, I'm just sitting down here at Liverpool John Lennon Airport, at least for an hour. I'll see you guys when it's time to board the plane. So about to board our plane. It's about 20 to 7 and we should hopefully be taking off at 7:15. Okay, real quick seat tours is seat 22A. There's the legroom, the tray table. So far nobody next to me, but I guess that's going to change shortly. There's the window. That's the window just to the rear as well. And today we're going to be flying on an Airbus, either an A319 or an A320. I'm not particularly sure which one it is.
If the air supply fails, mask will drop from above you. Pull the mask towards you to start the oxygen. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is switched off. We suggest you keep it fastened whenever you are in your seat. Be careful when you open the lockers, as items may have moved. There are toilets at both ends of the aircraft and they all have smoke detectors. Smoking is not allowed at any time, and this does include vapes and other e-cigarettes. The cabin crew will now pass through the cabin with the sale of the eat-drink shop service. We do have a full bar service on today's flight. Hot, cold drinks, sweet and savoury snacks.
Five minutes will begin our descent towards Belfast City. We'll be on the ground at 10 to the hour. It's been a pleasure having you on board. I'll leave you in the wonderful, capable hands of our cabin crew. Thank you for choosing to fly Easyjet.
You probably just heard that, but the captain's just come over the loudspeaker to announce we're beginning our descent into Belfast in 5 minutes. We have literally just been up in the air for what seems like about 10 minutes, and we're already heading down to the airport. I think that's the best with these really, really short flights. They're almost just like a bus service. You just go up in the air and come back down and you're somewhere else. I think there was a little bit of wind on takeoff because the plane was juddering from side to side, and I don't know if it came up on the camera, but there was lots of rain as well just coming across the window. But once we took off, it's a really smooth flight. It's lovely and sunny up above the clouds. And I will see you guys once we land in Belfast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Belfast City, where the time is just approaching 5 to 8. Please keep your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is switched off. For now, thank you for choosing to fly with us today, and we look forward to welcoming you on board soon. Thank you and good morning.
Cabin crew, thank you. Please disarm doors for arrival.
So I've made it to Belfast. What I'm going to do now is step outside the airport and get myself a taxi, which is going to take me into Belfast City. Although this is Belfast City, so this is George Best Airport, which is right in the centre of Belfast. It's a really convenient airport to come to. Just looking where the taxis are, straight ahead. So a taxi from here to the Titanic Quarter should be less than 10 minutes drive. So, I've just arrived at the Titanic Belfast, which is behind me here. The museum doesn't actually open till 9 o'clock. The time is now 10 past 8, so I've got a bit of a while to wait. So I'm just going to go for a walk around the area. So this is known as the Titanic Quarter, obviously, because it's the Titanic here. Taxi journey from the airport came to £13.20, although the meter said £10.20. No, the meter said £10.30, but he charged me £13.30. Asked for a receipt as well. I always collect receipts just for my record, so I know how much things cost, and that also said £10.30. So I don't know where that other £3 came from, if he decided to just give himself a tip. But I've never used the taxis from Belfast Airport before, so if you've had a similar experience using taxis from Belfast Airport, just leave a message in the comments below just to let me know what that £3 was. Because normally, if you do have an airport fee or anything like that, it's already included on the display. So yeah, leave me a message, just let me know what that extra money was for. So, looking behind me here, here's the Titanic Museum. It's a fabulous building. It's actually four-sided, so you can see each of these represents the hull of one of the main White Star lines. So there's the Titanic, the Olympic, the Britannic, and I can't remember what the fourth one is, unfortunately. Behind me here as well, that's the Titanic Hotel. They're the former drawing offices of Harland and Wolff. So if you're not familiar with who Harland and Wolff are, Harland and Wolff are the actual shipbuilders that created the Titanic. And this is the exact location where the Titanic was actually constructed and built. So the dry docks, I believe, are over in that direction. We'll go for a walk there shortly. The Harland and Wolff offices, like I said, right behind me here. Now quite an expensive hotel, like a boutique hotel, Titanic Hotel. if you're wondering how much the tickets for the Titanic Museum cost, I actually purchased the early riser ticket, so that's anything before 10 a.m. is classed as an early riser ticket, and it was £19.95. So I've got the first ticket for the day at 9 a.m. So as soon as it opens, we'll be going straight in. But first, like I said, I want to have a walk around and explore the area. And everywhere you go, there's these signs everywhere and billboards just with history of the area. So in front of me here is the slipway where the Olympic was built. So the Olympic is the sister ship to the Titanic. I think we'll go for a little walk this way and take a look. And you can see these train tracks on the ground as well, embedded into the concrete. So these must have ferried and shipped all the materials to the boat being built just over here. So I'm actually guessing that the slipway has probably been filled in. It's going to be all this area here where the grass is, leading out to the water in this direction. And to the right of me here, there's a large, like, I guess a car park, and you can see the H&W, so that's Harland and Wolff, those cranes over there. And along the water you've got more ships there, and also ahead of us over there as well, some ships in the water over there. And we're just getting to the end of the slipway now, so you can see how long this area is. So you can see how big the boats are. So this was the Britannic. No, this was the Olympic. And look at it from over the building. Well, actually over there is the Harland and Wolff offices over by there, but you overlook the shipbuilding, which is going on right under our feet here, and then straight out to the water there. And you've also got a stained glass window of the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones here. And keep watching, because I will be visiting the Game of Thrones studio where a lot of the scenes were filmed for the TV show later in this video. Actually called the Glass of Thrones. So I think I'm going to head back over towards the Titanic building and go to the other side of there. And then this side, which is the left of the Olympic, is where the Titanic was actually built. So I've just been walking where the Titanic was built. It's just amazing the history that is in this place here. So this is the slipway from where the Titanic was built. So just over by there is where the Titanic was actually constructed. It's amazing to think just the history in this one area just by here, just to think right by there is where the Titanic was constructed. And now it's just filled in with concrete, grass and soil. And this is what it looks like in the day. So in that slipway, just over there, there is the Titanic. Launched 31st of May, 1911. Now I think I've actually got it wrong, because I'm talking about the slipway here being dug into the ground, so like a dry dock. But looking at these pictures, I don't think it is. I think it was actually built on the ground here, and probably these poles signify just how high up maybe the top of the bow, but it'd be a lot higher than that. So I'm not particularly sure, but I guess I'm going to find out when we go to the Titanic Museum in a few minutes. But yeah, when you look here, that's definitely not dug into a hole, is it? So it must have just been on the ground, and maybe that's what those two kind of bits that stick up signify, maybe to keep the ground flat there. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll keep walking and we'll look around the museum. Right at the front of the museum is the Nomadic, which is the last remaining ship that was constructed by the White Star Line. There's also a nice Titanic sign on the other side of the building as well, so I'm going to go and take my picture with that. They're saying that 100,000 people came to watch the launch of the Titanic. It's a lot of people. And this is what the building looks like from the front. Really impressive. So here's a good shot of the slipways, you can see. So that's where the Titanic was built, and that's where the Olympic was built. So they've let everybody in at 10 to 9. The museum itself isn't open yet, just the gift shop and a place to get drinks. So I'm just having a look around the gift shop for a few minutes before we can start our tour. So I bought my tickets in advance, but you can also buy tickets on the day. Behind me here are these ticket booths. There we go. Thank you.
Shall be constructed in our finest shipyard by our most skilled craftsmen. Great Leviathans acting as ambassadors for the Empire.
British ships built with American money. Whatever's the world coming to?
That's not for the likes of you and I to wonder, James. I don't suppose either of us will ever be privileged to travel in such magnificent surroundings. Ah, that's another day done, James.
Another long day indeed. They went on talking late tonight.
Great affairs, James. Great affairs.
Always that way when Mr. Ismay dines with his lordship.
I should think so. His lordship and Mr. Ismay are eminent men. Harland and Wolff is the world's greatest shipbuilder, and the White Star Line is the jewel of the Atlantic services. Britannia rules the waves.
I hear Cunard is faster now.
It's not a matter of speed, James. Not for Mr. Ismay's passengers.
Gentry always do appear to have time on their hands.
I will have none of that talk here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison, I'm fair one out. What's so special about Mr. Ismay's ships, then?
Luxury, James. That's the mark of the White Star Line. Luxury and elegance. And the better sort expected, Mr. Ismay provides it.
And that's why they're going to build them bigger still.
Where'd you hear that, James?
Over dinner. Before the gentleman retired to talk, his lordship was talking about the largest dry dock in Belfast. Enormous gantries. A dry dock built for a ship that hadn't even been built yet.
The foreman years in service included himself, James.
Sorry, Mr. Harrison. They didn't say anything precise. I was merely speculating.
You may have speculated more accurately than you realise.
I did.
I, of course, was privileged to accompany the gentleman with the smoking. They are indeed proposing a new generation of ocean liners.
Big ships, Mr. Harrison.
Largest and most luxurious ever. Not so fast as Cunard's Lusitania, half as big again. Go to the left.
So there's the drawing offices. That's in the hotel opposite us, in the Titanic Hotel, the boutique hotel that I pointed out earlier. So this is only a quarter of what the height would be.
Building Titanic was a feat of engineering. 1,000 men at that time, many of whom worked on Titanic over the 26 housed in the Aral gantry was a Harland and Wolff ship with the yard number 401. It became known the world over as Titanic.
1912, Titanic was ready for her maiden voyage. For Belfast, the triumphant culmination of many years' planning and labour. Before she could be handed over, Titanic had to undergo sea trials. On the 2nd of April 1912, she carried out a series of manoeuvres in open water.
You could hear the noise from where we lived, but nothing prepared you for the size of the place. You pump the bellows till the rivet was white hot, then you get a hold of it with your tongs and throw it up to the catcher, and he put it in the hole in the plate with the holder up. The upper deck was steel too, and part of the strength of the ship. There's no straight lines in the ship, and when you look down the weather deck, you can see the sheer of the hull, the stopped reflection of sea. When we came to launch day, I was torn between pride and fear. The standing ways were coated in tallow, clean oil and soft soap, so the ship would slide when they shifted her weight off the blocks. That was the most dangerous part. 100,000 people watched the launch. Some paid a bob to sit in the reserved seating. There were extra trams laid on. Then we all went off to the pub to wish her well.
So that was it. That was the Titanic Museum here in Belfast. What I'm going to do now is head over to the Nomadic, because your tickets for the museum also covers entry into the Nomadic. I'm only going to spend about 20-30 minutes there, and then when I'm finished I'm coming back to the Titanic sign here, where I'm going to start a walking tour all around this area, which I'm hoping that'll be really interesting. So here we are at the SS Nomadic. It's in the dry dock. So this is the SS Nomadic behind me here. It looks like the way in is on the other side of the boat that way. Like I mentioned earlier, the SS Nomadic is the last remaining White Star Line vehicle. All the others have been destroyed, sank, been dismantled. So this is quite an historic relic of the whole White Star Line, and I guess the last surviving remnant of Titanic. It was actually used to ferry people to the Titanic when the Titanic was docked off the coast of Cherbourg in France. Because the port wasn't deep enough there, all the passengers would actually board the SS Nomadic and be ferried over to the Titanic itself. So it's actually got quite a bit of history. And I believe over many, many, many years, it was even then sold to become a restaurant. Then it fell into disrepair after that restaurant went bankrupt. And a few years ago, I think, the Northern Ireland Tourist Authority or something like that commissioned it to be brought back here to where it was originally built. And now it's a tourist attraction for people to have a look at what the ship was like back in the day. Hello. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This pattern on the floor here is the same one that was used on Titanic. That's pretty fascinating. So this is the first class lounge on a Nomadic, and this pattern on the floor was used for the first class lounge in Titanic.
You seen my trimmer? Short fellow with a wheelbarrow full of coal? Typical. Pardon, I'm Louis, a stoker here on Nomadic. We stokers, we feed the fire that makes the steam that powers the engines. But this wonderful ship would be nothing if it did not move. That's our job. We spend hours down here in the smoke and the dust, building up the fire and keeping it hot. With a good enough fire, we can get her up to 12 knots. Stokers, trimmers, we work down here in the, I would say, the belly of the ship, huh? Down below decks. But actually, as a fact, we move all around on Nomadic. But we must stay out of sight. To you, we are invisible. You know what? Tiny tunnels and ladders hidden behind secret panels in the walls. Very clever, huh? But, mon Dieu, the space is so cramped. Every day I crawl up and down these tiny spaces. It makes my back break. Today, we meet the Titanic, huh? What a ship! I hear she has 29 boilers. We have just 2. But don't worry. We stokers will get you there on time, as quick as light. But, pardon me. I should not be talking to the passengers. Time to get us to the Titanic. But for that, I need more coal. Trimmer!
I've spent about 30 minutes exploring the Nomadic. It's really interesting, lots of history. Like I said on the way into here, this was actually a boat that ferried people on the Titanic, but it also had a bigger role in history as well. Like looking at some of the celebrities that have come and sailed on this ship. Well, boat, ship or boat, not sure which one it is. Is it big enough to be a ship? Probably. Anyway, you've got people like Jackie Coogan, Johnny Weissmuller and Charlie Chaplin, who happens to be one of my favourite comic actors. Anyway, we're going to head back over to the Titanic Museum, which is right behind us there, only about a 2-minute walk away, and start our Discovery walking tour. The Discovery walking tour is an additional cost to just entering the museum. I think it was about £15 and it runs about 2 or 3 times a day. Mine's due to start at 11, but it advises getting there about 10 minutes early. So that's why we're going to head over there now. It's currently about 20 to 11. So for the tour, we're given a headset and a radio mic. So I don't think you guys are going to be able to hear anything that the guide's going to be talking about, unfortunately. But I'll try and remember what she says and give you an update when I finish. So I've just finished the Discovery tour and it was really interesting. It lasted about an hour and 10 minutes. I didn't film on it at all for 2 reasons. First, you wouldn't have been able to hear what the guide said just because we were listening through the earphones, and also there was no filming allowed. So what I'm going to do now is just run over some of the highlights of the tour. I'm going to go back and retrace our steps. So starting here around the back of the Titanic building itself, on the floor here, which I didn't actually notice when I was here by myself earlier, but the dark tiles represent countries and land masses, and the lighter tiles represent the ocean, and this is actually the route that the Titanic took. So you see, started off in Belfast by there, then came down to Southampton, and it was actually Southampton where it picked up the majority of its passengers and crew. Apparently there was a coal strike in the UK at the time, which meant a lot of people got bumped from other White Star lines onto the Titanic. So some people weren't even due to be in the Titanic, ended up there because of a coal strike. So then the Titanic departed Southampton, came to Cherbourg in France, and you see it actually doesn't make land there. That's because the docks weren't deep enough, so that's where the SS Nomadic would actually ship people onto the Titanic there. Then from there came across to Cove in Ireland, which at the time was called Queenstown, and that's where a lot of the mail got dropped off before it set sail across the Atlantic. And this is the route here from Ireland. So this line signifies the path that the Titanic took. All the way over here. It's going pretty far. And then here are the coordinates where the Titanic sunk and was later found by Sir Robert Ballard. Or Dr. Robert Ballard, I should say, not Sir. And it was due to keep going. That's where it should have made landmass in New York over there. I thought that was pretty interesting. I totally didn't notice that. So that's one good thing about going on a guided tour. It points out things that you don't notice if you're just walking around. Now we're going to go to where the slipways are, which I came to first thing this morning, in front of me here. If you can see the silver lines here, so silver line there to over by there, that signifies the width of the boat. So this was the Olympic, and over by there is the Titanic. Another interesting thing that Claire the guide actually pointed out was actually on the floor over by here. So the ground here is actually original. So this is what the Titanic and the Olympic were actually built on. So all the men who were working here walked on these same floor ground that I'm doing now. And if we look along the floor here, somewhere, see if I can see it. Hold on. Yeah, that's it there. So that there is an original rivet that was used in the construction of the ship that fell onto the ground, and then it's just been embedded in the concrete. So that's been there for well over 100 years, never moved. I thought that was pretty fascinating, actually. And these steel beams here are to signify the gantry that was above the ships being constructed. And even though these look pretty big, they're actually only 1/3 of the size, and each one signifies each leg of the gantry going all the way down there. And the grass that we saw earlier this morning, which I'm just walking over there now. Oh, I think I better point out that these original tracks here, which we saw as well earlier, they're the original tracks for the trams that would bring equipment and supplies up and down the slipways from over there to the end by the water. So yeah, so like I was saying, this grass in front of me here, these are actually memorials for the people who died on Titanic. Each strip of grass represents a different class of passenger. So right at the front here, we've got first class, then we've got second class, followed by third class, and actually the biggest amount of deaths, which is the largest patch of grass at the very end, that's the people who worked on the Titanic. So when you think about all the deaths on the Titanic, you always think about the passengers and the famous passengers like John Jacob Astor, etc., like that, and also the survivors like the unsinkable Molly Brown. But by far the most deaths that occurred on that night back in 1912, was it? Yeah, 1912, was the people who actually worked on the boat. Mainly, so that's the stewards, that's the people who worked in the boiler room, the mechanics, the engineers, all those people. So I thought that was really fascinating. Again, I wouldn't have known that if we didn't have that guide. Now we're going to go back into the Titanic Hotel, which is where we actually started the tour, which is the original Harland and Wolff drawing offices and offices. So see you there in a minute. Again, when you look at the building as well, it is absolutely amazing. She just also talked about the four sides of it. So look, as seen from above, it's the White Star logo. It also looks like the points on the compass. So north is pointing back towards us there. And they're roughly about the same height as the holes as well on the ship. So if you look up there, that's pretty much how high the Titanic would have been. In total, they're made of 3,000 different aluminium panels, and 2,000 of those are unique as well, to signify the 2,000 workers who actually helped construct the Titanic itself. So this is where we started the Discovery Tour. Well, actually we just started it by the Titanic sign, but then we came to here. So these are the original Harland and Wolff gates that have been here since the shipyard was founded. There's another set in the museum. The ones in the museum we saw earlier when we were doing the tour around the museum, but apparently this is where the workers would come in. So if you're a worker, you came through these gates here, and if you were management, you come through some doors, which I'll show you in a minute. There's also a story as well, is when the workers came in the mornings, they would touch the gate for good luck, and then when they left at the end of the day, they would then touch the gate again to say that they've come in, they've gone home, and they're safe. So now what we're going to do is head inside the Titanic Hotel, and I'm going to show you some of the rooms that she took us around. Really fascinating. Let's go. So this is the drawing office, room number 1. This is where people had desks everywhere, drawing their plans for the ships that were being built here in Harland and Wolff. Like you can see as well, because of the amount of windows and glass on the ceilings and these big wide open windows, that was to let in as much light as possible so the designers and the artists could actually see what they were doing. Now we're going to move on. We're going to go through here. As you come through the drawing office, you then enter this room here. That's the main entrance to the Harland and Wolff design offices. This is the way that management used to come. In fact, this whole area is just for managers and the upper brass. This room in front of me here is the telegraph office. So this is where, after the ship sank, the telegraph operators in here would be receiving the messages, finding out who actually survived and who unfortunately died during the sinking. So I imagine it was really, really busy. So although this has been refurbished, you can actually see a poster on the wall here showing how it was being refurbished and how it looked before. The tiles on the wall this side are original, just to show how it looked at the time. Yeah, so a lot of things have happened in this room. So like I said, that's the original telegraph office. So all the messages coming into Belfast came through there regarding the sinking of the Titanic. So this is Thomas Andrews' room. So he was the principal designer on the Titanic for the last 6 months. This is an original fireplace here as well. And apparently, this here was where his boss used to come in and tap and empty his pipe all the time, which is why it's damaged. Okay, let's keep going. So quite a few things. The way that this hotel is actually set up is really nice. It really sticks to the heritage and the history of the Harland and Wolff offices. So everywhere there's artifacts, souvenirs, artwork, blueprints, photographs everywhere. Now upstairs. Some really nice posters here, White Star Line posters. Don't know if they're original, they're probably copies. Through here. Oh, am I okay to come and have a look around? Thank you. Okay. And this is the presentation room. This is the presentation room. This is where the management would bring any dignitaries and investors to come and present to them about White Star Line. In fact, there's 7 pieces of wallpaper on this wall, which is original from when Harland and Wolff actually was here. And what I found was fascinating, which is, I know it's a bit sad really, but when they were having a look, they found out the original manufacturer of this wallpaper, went to have a word with them when they were refurbishing this building, when it was becoming a hotel, and the manufacturer still had the original machine and plans for this particular wallpaper. The machine had not been used for about 30 years, but they had it set up again, and they were able to recreate the original wallpaper that was in here at the time. So like I said, there's 7 pieces of wallpaper on this wall behind me, which is original. All the rest is a reproduction using the original plans and original machine. And the girl who actually did the tour doesn't even know which sections of the wallpaper are original and which ones are the new versions. But it really shows what the rooms and what the Titanic would have looked like at the time, because they brought them to this room especially to show investors what the Titanic, what the Olympic, what the Britannic would actually look like. And then you've also got a model of the Titanic here as well, which is the real centerpiece of the room. And from here as well, you look into the other drawing room. So this is drawing room number 2. It's now turned into a bar. So it's a bar in the hotel. And if you can see, let's see if I can zoom in. If you can see those tiles on the side of the bar there, they were actually meant for the Britannic. So when the White Star Line was building the Titanic, the Olympic and the Britannic, they ordered all the tiles for the swimming pools in one batch. So they were one of the first ships to actually have a swimming pool. Most cruise ships now have them. So the tiles were used on the Titanic, and we know that sank. It was used on the Olympic, that they were sold for scrap. The tiles weren't actually used on the Britannic in the end. Because the war broken out, it then became a medical ship, so there was no need to have a swimming pool, so they just never used those tiles. When they were renovating this building for a hotel, they actually found all the tiles unused and they decided to use it on the bar there, which again I find really fascinating. It's amazing what you can find in these buildings. So this is Lord Peary's office. He was the person who was in charge of Harland and Wolff at the time. Now it looks like a conference suite. There's the guy himself. And then he's got a view of the shipbuilding area outside. But you can walk around this hotel, no issues at all. I've just walked in now, nobody stopped me, nobody asked for ID or anything like that, because it is a working hotel at the end of the day. So if you are in the area, I would thoroughly recommend just coming in here just for a couple of minutes and taking a look around. Oh, here's one more room we didn't see. We didn't do this one on the tour. This is Mr. Payne's office. So let's have a look what's in here. What I think I'll do, we will head back out, going through drawing room number 2, that's the drawing office number 2, and then head out of the hotel. So this is what the drawing office looked like. I'll tell you a little story about what they're actually drawing on when we're outside, but that's what it looked like then. That's what it looks like now. So all the floors are original as well. Oh, cheers, thank you. So that ends my tour around the Titanic water and visiting the museum, the SS Nomadic, and also the Discovery tour. Like I just mentioned now when I was in the drawing offices, one of the little stories that the lady told me while we were on the tour was they actually didn't used to write on paper, well, draw on paper. They did that on linen, and the reason for that is because they wanted to take the plans out to the ships which are being built just behind me over here. If they took them out in paper, and Belfast weather isn't obviously the best, like most of the UK. It could be raining, could be windy, and the paper would get damaged with just a little bit of rain on them. So by using linen, they're a lot more hard wearing, so they could take them to the ships and back and it'd still survive and be in one piece. Okay, it's 25 to 1. What I'm gonna do now is head into the centre of Belfast, and it's just starting to rain as well. So I have got my waterproof jacket in the bag. Hopefully I won't have to use it because just drizzle, that's fine. So it's going to take me about 25 to 30 minutes to walk into the centre of Belfast. I might get something for lunch along the way, it just depends if I see anything I fancy. And then after that, I'm going to catch a bus that's going to take me to the studios where Game of Thrones was filmed. So let's start walking, shall we? So it has started to rain a little bit more now, so I put my waterproof jacket on. I don't want to get too wet. Like I said, I've got about a 25 to 30 minute walk into the centre of Belfast. It's only 1.6 miles according to Google Maps, not too far, and hopefully there should be some scenic things to see along the way, starting at the SS Nomadic here by the side of me. So that's interesting. I didn't come to the back of the ship earlier, but you can see it's actually registered in Cherbourg, which is where it was ferrying passengers from the docks to the Titanic. And that's the gate keeping all the water out from the dry dock that the Nomadic's in. Where I've walked down so far. So Titanic Belfast is over there. I'm going to continue walking along the harbour front along the marina this way and then over to the left, and that's the way to get into the centre of Belfast. So I'm walking along the harbour front in the marina here in Belfast. Nice leisurely walk. You can see Titanic Belfast off in the distance over there. Should be about another 20 minutes and I'll be in the centre of Belfast. So I think this must be Maybe an art installation of some kind with some wind chimes. I don't know if it actually works. No. Oh, there we go. Wind must be blowing them there. Although how is the wind blowing it? It must be a mechanism on the roof. So it looks like in front of me I'm coming into a bit more densely populated area. So here's, I guess, central Belfast in this direction. I've just seen a sign saying this walk that I'm actually doing now from Titanic Water to the centre of Belfast is known as the Maritime Mile. And every now and again there's some placards on the side. I passed them now, unfortunately, I didn't film any, with different ships that were constructed here. One of the ones that I actually recognised was HMS Belfast, which is moored in London, just outside the Tower of London and Tower Bridge. So you can do tours of that. I've been on there a couple of times actually, once on a tour and once in like a private function where we had dinner there at night and booked out the whole ship to the party that we were in. Really nice and quite a lot of history on there. I think it was a minesweeper during the Second World War up in the North Atlantic as part of the North Atlantic convoys. So I know this isn't smell-o-vision, you see that, but it actually smells like seawater, which I guess we are right on the coast. So yeah, look, that's where I can see. So it looks like it's like seaweed all the way up these steps here. That's where I can smell. It smells like the beach. So the city centre is that way. And here, what the bridge looked like in 1912. A bit wider then. So just for reference, this is where I am now. And this is the walk that I took all the way down here. There's a nomadic. And there's the Titanic Belfast Museum there. Earlier this morning we did the Slipways. I would have liked to carry on walking up there, but I just didn't have enough time. So there's HMS Caroline, which is another ship you can actually have a tour around. And there's also a lighthouse by here somewhere. Not sure where, I think it might be by there, there's a lighthouse. So I'm going to head over the bridge, get to the centre of Belfast. I think we're making pretty good time. It is almost 1 o'clock. My bus to the Game of Thrones studios goes at 2, but they advise that you get there about 15 minutes before. So definitely enough time for some lunch. It'll have to be quick though, so rather than a restaurant or a cafe, I think I'll just find some fast food place, like a McDonald's or something like that. So this is the Albert Memorial Clock. Just passing it quickly on my way to catch my bus. So like I said, it's the Albert Clock. We're in the Cathedral Quarter at the moment. It looks like it was constructed in 1869. And it's one of Belfast's best loved landmarks. It's affectionately known as Belfast's very own Leaning Tower, standing 35 metres high and constructed mainly of sandstone. Built on wooden piles on reclaimed marshy land around the river. So this must be reclaimed land where we are here. You wouldn't really think it. So it's built as a memorial to Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, and it cost £2,500, which was raised by public subscription. Okay, just thought I'd take a quick look down this side street, see if there's anywhere quick we can eat. Okay, what we got? So this is called Pottinger Street. No, I think I'll keep carrying on the way I was going. So I've come to McDonald's. I just want something really quick, so I haven't got enough time to go to a proper restaurant. So I haven't seen this on the McDonald's menu before. It's called the Hat Trick. Must be because it's the European football going on at the moment. So it's now 1:20. I want to try and get and catch this Game of Thrones bus though in about 20 minutes. It's only about 3 minutes walk from here. So let's tuck in and then we'll head off and catch this bus. I've just come out of McDonald's after finishing eating my lunch and it's a lot heavier, the rain is now. At least it's only a few minutes walk, I think 3 minutes walk to where I'm going to be catching the bus from, right opposite the City Hall, which is ahead of me by here. I'll tell you all about the Game of Thrones studio, where I got the tickets from, how to get there, etc. when I'm on the bus and the shelter. So before I catch the bus, I thought I'd just spend a minute just coming to here, the Belfast City Hall. It's right across the road from where I'll be going to get the Game of Thrones bus from. But it's quite an impressive building, nice little Belfast sign there, great photo opportunity for people if they want to take their picture in front of there. So to tell you about this Game of Thrones studio tour, you can actually get a shuttle bus from here in Belfast. It's about a 30-minute ride away. I've got everything, so I've got my studio tickets and also the shuttle bus ticket via Get Your Guide. If you're a frequent viewer of my videos, you know I use Get Your Guide pretty much around the world. I find them to be really handy. They're really cost effective. They have really good cancellation policies. Basically, you can cancel with 24 hours notice for a full refund on nearly all their tickets. I'm not sponsored by Get Your Guide at all. I just use them for all the tours and attractions that I go on around the world. So if you are going to catch the shuttle bus, it's just across the road from City Hall over there outside the Visit Dublin offices. They leave frequently throughout the day, but you do need to pre-book which shuttle you want. So I'm going to head over there now and I'll see you guys on the bus. So just for reference, City Hall is there. Visit Belfast is by there, and that's where I'm going to pick up the bus from now. As it's raining, I thought I'd have a quick look around Visit Belfast offices here, see what there is to do. Although my agenda's pretty packed today, I know exactly what I'm doing all day. But maybe for another trip I might get some inspiration. So whenever you purchase tickets with Get Your Guide, it gets stored in their app, or you can download them and view it offline. I always just use the app. It makes life a lot more convenient. And here's the ticket for the Game of Thrones. It says the time, date, and booking reference, and most importantly, it's got a QR code, which will scan as soon as I get on the bus in a few minutes. And just to show you that I do use Get Your Guide a lot, this is just some of the things I've done in the last few months. We'll Get Your Guide. Always find them useful, always happy with their service. So I'll leave a link in the description down below. That'll take you to the Get Your Guide website where you can purchase exactly the same ticket that I've got today. And here's the Game of Thrones bus. You can download the audiobook through the Studio Guide app. It is a charge though if you want to use the audiobook, and it's £4.99. that's it. I've just finished the Game of Thrones studio tour. You've come out through the studio shop, which is over by there. So I'm in the main lobby foyer area where I first entered the studio. Altogether, what time is it now? It's 20 to 5, so I spent a good 2 hours walking around. I decided not to get the audio guide in the end. It costs $4.99. You can either get it from the desk over by there, or you can also download it from the Studio app on the iOS store and Android store. I decided not to do that in the end. It cost $4.99, and there was quite a lot of information on the plaques around the studio as well. So what did I think of the studio tour? Well, if you're into Game of Thrones or into how TV shows and movies get made, I'd highly recommend it. If you've ever been to the Harry Potter studio tour in London, well, just outside London, and you want to compare the two, I think the Harry Potter one does go into a lot more detail, has a lot more props, has a lot more wardrobes. But if I'm honest, they're set up pretty much in the same structure. So when you first go in through the entrance behind me over my shoulder, first of all, you just have your picture on a green screen. I didn't bother doing that. And then the first room I wasn't allowed to film in because it's a cinema screen introducing the characters and introducing the studio tour. And then once you go through that initial room, then there's a grand reveal, a bit like the Hogwarts door in Harry Potter studio. You've got some smoke effects, and then you walk into the land of Game of Thrones. And then there's multiple rooms, all dedicated to different parts of the TV show, and also the behind the scenes stuff. So like the costume, the sets, the props, the wardrobes, everything. As I mentioned earlier, I purchased my tickets for today through Get Your Guide. If you are interested in these tickets from Get Your Guide, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can just click on that and go directly to their website. Or also, click on this QR code right by here, and that will also take you to the page on the website. And that's exactly the same ticket that I purchased for my day here today at the Game of Thrones studio tour. There are two options. So you can either do what I did, which was purchase the studio ticket and the shuttle bus from Belfast combined, or you can actually get a shuttle bus from Dublin as well. So if you were in Dublin, you can get the shuttle bus from there and the Game of Thrones ticket combined with that one. Or if you're renting a car or you want to use a taxi to get here, you can just get the studio tickets itself. So the total cost for today for me was £45. That includes the studio entrance ticket and the return shuttle bus to Belfast. So there's a number of return buses that go back into Belfast. I'm waiting for the next one, which departs at 5:15. Like I said, it's just after 20 to 5 now. It's actually 4:45. So in half an hour, I'll be leaving to go back to Belfast. Nothing much to do. There's a lobby cafe behind me, which is a bit of a coffee shop. They do cakes, some sandwiches. But it looks like everywhere's starting to close as well now. So the sign behind me over that way said the last tour of the day was at 3:20. So I think once those people come out, the place will be shut down. I'm not sure what the opening times are today. I'd imagine closing is around 6 o'clock. But when I was just checking, I was thinking about getting myself a cake, but when I was just checking what was left, a lot of the cakes are now sold down. There's some which have probably been there all day, so I decided not to have them. Anyway, so I'm just going to wait here for my bus back to Belfast. When I do get back to Belfast, I think I'm going to find somewhere to have some dinner. And then that's it. That's going to be my day in Belfast over with. I'm going to get a bus back to the airport, and I'm actually going to be returning through a different airport than I arrived in. So when I arrived at the George Best International Airport, which is in the Belfast city centre. But to go home, I'm going to Belfast International, which is about a 40-minute drive outside of Belfast City. You can also scan the QR code on the screen here, which will take you directly to the Get Your Guide website and these tickets as well that I purchased. So I've just come out, I'm waiting for the bus. In fact, it's just arrived, it's over there, but it doesn't depart for another 15 minutes. So I'm just gonna wait in the fresh air for a little bit. So it's time to leave and get back on the coach. Like I was saying, if you're a Game of Thrones fan or a movie fan or a TV fan in general who likes to know what's going on behind the scenes, this place is absolutely ideal. Personally, I love exploring like film sets and looking at costumes, movie props, just knowing what goes on behind the scenes. And Game of Thrones studio tour here in Northern Ireland. It's an ideal location to come. So there's my bus back. That's going to take me back to Belfast. Journey time's probably going to be about 35 to 40 minutes. One last look at the studio, or the main entrance of the studio. Didn't get a chance to look at it when I came because it was pouring down with rain. But that's it there. I think that the day's starting to catch up with me now. I'm really starting to get a bit tired. The plan is when I get back into Belfast is to find somewhere to eat for my dinner. I don't really fancy fast food like a McDonald's or a KFC, so I'll go to some kind of restaurant or a cafe. Then I'm going to get the airport shuttle bus, which I believe is the number 300 from the Europa bus station all the way to Belfast International Airport. I'm actually flying back home from a different airport than I arrived in this morning. So this morning I arrived at the George Best City Airport, which was right in the middle of Belfast City. As you saw, that taxi journey was only a few minutes from the airport to the Titanic Museum. So the airport I am going to be flying home to this evening is Belfast International, which is about a 40-minute journey from the centre of the city. And I'll show you how to get tickets to go onto that shortly after I've eaten my dinner. Cheers, thank you. Bye. And we're back in Belfast, dropped off outside the Visit Belfast office behind me here. So like I said, I'm going to go for a little walk now, try and find a restaurant or a cafe where I can have something for dinner. I've just decided to come to Wetherspoons. I was walking past, saw it was here. The food is reasonable quality for a good price, so that's why I've come in. I've ordered by the app, only took about 5 minutes to arrive. I've gone for the fish and chips and mushy peas and a cherry Pepsi. Total cost was £11.25. So I'll start this now, and I'll see you guys when I leave and start walking to my bus. I've finished my dinner at Wetherspoons and now we're going to walk over to the Europa bus station, which should be in this direction, and I should be there in about 5 minutes. Now it is early evening on a Sunday and I've just had a look at the timetable, and the buses to the airport run every 30 minutes. On the hour, I'm 30 minutes past the hour. It's 20 to 7 now, so hopefully I should be able to catch the 7 o'clock bus taking me to Belfast International. So I made it to the bus station. I just need to buy Airport Express tickets. I believe there should be an automated machine in here somewhere to do that. I want bus number 300, which goes to Belfast International. Okay, so I couldn't find the automated teller machine, and all the ticket booths close at 6, so I can't buy a ticket. I don't have enough cash on me to buy them on the bus, so I've been on their website. You can buy tickets on the bus, but you need cash. I only brought £20 with me because I paid with card for everything, and because the taxi this morning was £13.20, I don't have £9 on me in cash to pay for the bus. So I've gone on their website and I've purchased it on their website. I've got a QR code, so I'm going to be catching the 7 o'clock bus to Belfast International Airport. So my bus is the 300A going to Belfast International Airport. It's on stand 9 and 10, going to depart in 16 minutes. So let's have a look where stand 9 or 10 is. Didn't need to come far, 9, 10. And I've just spotted the automated ticket machine. It's outside, not inside the terminal building inside the bus station. It's outside there. So there's my ticket there. You can add it to your Apple Wallet as well if you want. So I've made it on onto the 7 o'clock bus bound for Belfast International Airport. According to the Translink website, it should take 44 minutes to get there. Here, I'll show it you. So this is going to be the route we're going to take. So we've just departed 7 o'clock from Belfast Europa Bus Centre, and these are the stops. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stops before we get to Belfast International Airport. And this is the first stop. So that journey took about 45 minutes. We're now at Belfast International Airport, and just like the flight this morning, I've checked in online previously last night, so I don't need to wait in the queue there to check in. Just going to finish off my water so I can take my bottle through and refill it once I'm through security. So this is the first time I've ever been to Belfast International Airport, so I don't know my way around, but all airports are the same really, aren't they? You just follow signs for departure and then you head through security. So I'm through security. I'm going to try and find a monitor somewhere to see if my flight's on time. Fingers crossed it's not delayed. Okay, so that's my flight, EZY510 to Liverpool. So it's departing at 11:05 tonight. But it's scheduled for, oh no, there we go. EZ512, scheduled departure 10:05 and due to leave at 10:05, so that's good. So that's good, no delays, that's what I like to see. So I'm going to walk around a little bit. Like I said, I've never been to this airport before, so I'll have a look what's here and then find somewhere to sit down and also refill my bottle. So we're in the middle of the Euros at the moment. So you see everybody by the bar area watching the football. So let's go for a walk around the airport, shall we, and see what's here. It's 9:25 and our gate's just been announced, so we need to go over to gate 11, which is the opposite direction of where I just was. This is seat 12A. I'll give you a quick seat tour. Got a tray table there. Got the safety leaflet there, the thing, the brochure trying to sell you stuff. Leg rooms and not very much if you look at that. There you go, there's what it looks like by the side of me. Currently nobody there, but I guess that's going to change in a minute. Got a window seat and I'm right above the wing. In fact, I got a window seat and a half. You can see out the rear window as well. That's what the plane looks like.
Erica here for your safety. With that in mind, I'll shortly be going through a safety demonstration. Good news for you guys, it's not going to be a quiz, but it does require your attention. So once I start that, please put down your books, magazines, telephones, pay attention to what they have to say. After that, time's all your own.
Okay, so we've just taken off. We were delayed by about 15 minutes on takeoff. The captain came over the loudspeaker to announce that there was a plane behind us that actually had a fault with its engine and it couldn't move to allow us to push back and taxi to the runway. So 15 minutes delay is not too bad. I think we'll probably be getting into Liverpool for around 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit before. It is only about a 30-35 minute flight from Belfast to Liverpool after all. Anyway, it's a smooth flight so far. I'm just going to enjoy the view out the window. if I'm honest, I'm getting really tired now, but there's just simply not enough time to go to sleep on this flight. It is literally straight up in the air and straight back down. I'll try and relax as much as I can. But like I said, I'm just going to keep looking out the windows and we'll be arriving in Liverpool shortly.
Just at our cruise altitude now at 25,000 feet, shortly starting our descent down into Liverpool. Expected time on the ground currently is just before 11 PM local time. The weather on the ground in Liverpool is pretty similar to Belfast, to be honest. 14 degrees, thank you to fly with Easyjet. Good to see you again soon. Wish you guys a safe forward journey. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
We realised we had a choice of airlines this evening, so we'd like to thank you for choosing to fly with Easyjet, and we look forward to welcoming you on board again in the not too distant future. Thank you, and a very good evening.
I've made it back to Liverpool John Lennon Airport. And because we're flying from Belfast, which is the UK, we don't need to go through any sort of passport control. Just going to head straight out through arrivals and go to the car park. Now that I'm back at Liverpool, I don't actually think I've mentioned why I'm actually doing these kind of international day trips lately. So in the past 6 weeks, either solo or with my 2 children, Matthew and Holly, we spent the day in Dublin, we spent a day in Stockholm, there was an overnight there, and today I've spent a day in Belfast. And the main reason is simply the cost. With low fare airlines such as Ryanair and Easyjet, I'm able to fly internationally for cheaper than even petrol fare to go around the UK. So for example, today's flights cost £12.99 each way, which, you know, for less than £30, that's about, what, probably going to maybe a bit further than Birmingham and back in petrol fare. And as for train fares, pretty much can't go anywhere nowadays in the UK for less than £30. So it's actually cheaper to fly somewhere from Liverpool. Usually I prefer flying from Liverpool than Manchester, simply because the airport car park is a lot cheaper. It's a really straightforward airport to navigate to and navigate around. But yeah. So if you kind of like this content where I go on either solo day trips internationally or take my children just somewhere for either the day or just one night, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm thinking about making these kind of videos a regular occurrence on my channel. I don't know if you can see behind, there's the Yarrow submarine, made famous in the Beatles song. Anyway, I think I'm going to end this video here, obviously, because I'm about to get into my car. I'm just walking to the car park now. But if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. It's really appreciated. If you're new here, my name's Mark, and I make travel and theme park videos from around the world, usually with my son Matthew and daughter Holly. And if you enjoyed what you've seen, please think about liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell button. See you in the next video. Bye.